14 years old. One phone call, and suddenly, a kid from Hunter River has just taken the first step on a journey that could change his life forever. G'day Swans fans, if you love the club like I do, hit that subscribe button, because today we are talking about the future. A young kid named Carter Bolton who's just been handed the opportunity of a lifetime. Carter Bolton is going to be a Sydney Swan. Well, not yet, but is on the path. The same path that Isaac Heeeney walked. The same path that's produced some of the most exciting talent in the AFL. This 14-year-old from Hunter River High School has just been selected for the Sydney Swans Academy. And if you're thinking that's just another academy kid, you haven't been paying attention to what the Swans Academy has become. This is the system that gave us Heeeney. The system that's consistently producing AFL-ready talent. The system that's become the envy of clubs across the competition. Carter made the move from Queensland to Port Stephens this year. New state, new school, new team. But he didn't just settle in, he stood out. Played for Port Stephens Power. Earned selection to represent Hunter at the state championships. And then came the call to Sydney. The testing day, the nerves, the waiting, and finally, the phone call that every young footballer dreams about. You're in. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back. The Sydney Swans Academy isn't new, but what it's become. That's the story most people don't know. 4 years, NSW and Queensland were AFL wastelands compared to Victoria, South Australia, and Western Australia. The talent just wasn't there in the same numbers. The pathways weren't clear. Kids who love footy had nowhere to develop their skills at an elite level. So the AFL created the academy system. Give the northern clubs access to local talent. Build the game from the grassroots. Create pathways for kids who might otherwise never get a chance. The Swans took it seriously. Really seriously. They built a development program that doesn't just identify talent. It creates it. Specialized coaching. Professional training environments. Access to the best facilities in the country. These kids aren't just playing local footy anymore. They are being developed like professional athletes from their early teens. And it works. Because Isaac Heeeney is the proof. Raised in Maitland. Played for Cardiff Hawks. Came through the academy system and became one of the best players in the competition. All-Australian. Leading goal kicker for the Swans. The face of the club's future. Here's the blueprint. The example every academy kid looks at and thinks, that could be me. Now Carter Bolton is following those footsteps. But his journey started differently. He wasn't born into the Swans Academy system. He came from Queensland this year. A fresh start for the family in Port Stephens. And here's where the story gets interesting. His dad, Luke, played VFL in Victoria. That's the level just below the AFL. The place where dreams almost come true, but not quite. Luke knows what it takes. He's lived that life. And has been teaching Carter everything he learned. Carter plays midfield. The engine room. The position that requires the most versatility, the most endurance, the most footy IQ. He can push forward and kick goals. He can drop back and defend. He can use both feet, though he admits his left isn't quite as strong as his right yet. That kind of honesty, that's the mark of a kid who's coachable, who knows his strengths and his weaknesses, who's ready to work. When Carter arrived in Port Stephens, he didn't waste time. He found Port Stephens Power and got straight to work. And the coaches noticed. The other players noticed. And when it came time to select the Hunter team for the state championships, Carter's name was on the list. That's where the Swans spotted him. State championships are scouting goal for academy programs. The best kids from across NSW competing against each other. And Carter stood out. So they called him down to Sydney. Testing day. Every young footballer's dream and nightmare rolled into one. Picture this. You're 14 years old. You're standing in Sydney, the home of the Swans. The SCG is right there. The players you watch on TV train at these facilities. And now you're being tested. Fitness drills, skills assessment, game sense evaluations, kicking under pressure, decision making. Every kid there wants it. Every kid there believes they deserve it. But only some will get the call. Carter described it as nerve-wracking, but he backed himself. He'd been training with his dad. He'd been dominating at Port Stephens Power. He'd represented Hunter at states. This was his moment. The testing finished. Everyone went home. And then came the waiting. That's the worst part. isn't it? Waiting for the phone to ring, checking your messages every 5 minutes, wondering if today's the day. And then it happened. The call came through. Carter, congratulations. You've been selected for the Sydney Swans Academy. He described receiving that news as exciting, but that's probably an understatement. Because this isn't just exciting, this is life-changing. What would you have felt? 14 years old, new state, new school, and suddenly you're part of an elite development program with a direct pathway to the AFL. This is the dream. This is what every kid playing local footy imagines when they kick the footy around in their backyard. But here's the part that changes everything. This is just the beginning, because selection to the academy isn't the finish line. It's the starting line. The Port Stephens community is buzzing. Local kid makes good. Represents the region on the biggest stage. Port Stephens power must be stoked. You bring in a kid from Queensland, and within months is in the Swans Academy. That's the kind of success story that attracts more talent to your club. Hunter representatives are proud too. Carter represented them at States, and now is representing the entire region in the academy system. But the real emotion is coming from Carter's family. Luke must be feeling something incredible. He played VFL. He got so close to the dream but never quite made it. And now his son is on a pathway that could take him all the way. That's a father's dream right there. Teaching your kid everything you know. Watching them take those skills and run with them. Seeing them get opportunities you never had. For Carter, the reality is setting in. Starting in the new year, he'll be traveling to Sydney regularly. Training sessions, games, development camps, balancing school with elite sport, managing the travel, handling the pressure. This isn't local footy anymore. This is professional development. The expectations are higher, the competition is fiercer, and the spotlight is brighter. But the Swans Academy has a track record of handling this well. They understand these are still kids. They prioritize education alongside football. They provide support systems. They've learned from years of developing talent. And they've got the example of Isaac Heeeney to show what's possible. A kid from Maitland who became a star. A local product who made it all the way. Carter's got that roadmap now. He knows it's possible. He knows the system works. This reminds me of when we first heard about Isaac Heeeney coming through the academy. Just another kid from regional NSW, right? And look what happened. The Swans Academy has become a production line for talent. It's not just about finding good players anymore. It's about developing elite athletes who understand the club's culture from day one. For Carter, this is the opportunity of a lifetime, but it's also years of hard work ahead. Early mornings, long drives to Sydney, sacrifices that most 14-year-olds never have to make. The consequences. If he succeeds, if he develops, if he makes it through, we could be watching him pull on the red and white in 5 or 6 years. We could be talking about him the way we talk about Heeeney now. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. Right now, it's about the journey, the development, the learning. What happens next? Carter starts training in the new year. He'll get exposure to professional coaching. He'll train alongside other elite prospects. He'll learn what it takes to compete at the highest level. And somewhere down the line, if he keeps working, if he keeps improving, we might see him in the draft. We might see him earn his first contract. We might see him run out onto the SCG wearing number whatever he chooses. That's the dream. That's the pathway. And Carter Bolton just took the first real step on that journey. At the end of the day, this is what being a Swans fan is all about. The next generation. The local kids who dream of wearing the red and white. The academy prospects who could become the next Heeeney, the next Golden, the next club legend. Carter Bolton is 14 years old. He's got a long road ahead. But today, he's exactly where he needs to be. And we'll be watching every step of the way. Let me know in the comments if you've heard of Carter or seen him play. Hit like if you love seeing local kids get their shot at the big time. And I'll see you in the next one. Up the Bloods!